Alright, so welcome back to Jim Bob's Garden. So today what we're going to talk about is how to grow a avocado tree. Now, a lot of people will tell you not to grow avocado trees from your seeds because avocado trees don't necessarily reproduce from seed like the avocado that you got it from, because most avocados are hybrids or grafted trees. But I got free seeds and I got nothing better to do with them, so I'm going to give it a shot. It can take 10 to 15 years for an avocado grown from seed to actually produce fruit, is what I'm reading online and so on. But, you know, it's still going to be a tree. It'll still provide shade here in my yard. And hopefully we'll get some good avocados out of it. I mean, just because it doesn't necessarily reproduce true to the seed does not mean that it won't either. I mean, it's kind of a chance. So we're going to talk about, first off, how to get them growing. Essentially what you do is you take an avocado seed like this and you pierce it with toothpicks, and then essentially you just put it in water and then allow that to sit there for a while. Like this one here, I can't remember exactly how long it's been, but it's been a few months. But that's the beginning stages where you're just starting to get a little bit of root coming out. You can see right there. And then a little further along in this process, you'll find that you start getting something that looks a lot like this, where you have some good roots coming out and you've actually got the tree starting to grow. Now it's at this point that I would normally put it in a pot or put it in the ground. Then if you look behind here, I have 3 avocado trees here that I have grown from seed. These are like a year and a half, and that one's maybe 6 months to a year old. As you can see, something is chewing up my leaves here. Not really sure what. So I planted those in like a 3-gallon pot there, and they've grown up over the last year or so. And so what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take these now and I'm going to put them out into my yard. All right, so hey. All right, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and plant this in my yard. Now, from everything I've read, one of the things that avocados like is they like to have a well-draining soil, and they don't like to get too wet. Now this spot here gets sun for most of the day. They do like a lot of sun. It's a pretty dry spot in my yard, so it doesn't get a lot of water even when the sprinklers run, and it's pretty well draining. If you can see this or not, but if you look at the sand, the soil that I have here, it's very, very sandy. Very sandy. Like there's nothing in it at all. And you can actually see the line in the hole where the topsoil was put down over the top of the sand that was originally here. So I believe this will actually work pretty well. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take some potting soil that I have and some garden dirt, and I'm going to put it down below there and mix it in with some of the existing sand. We'll throw a couple shovelfuls of that in, and then I'm going to mix it in with some of the existing dirt, and then get this level back up about where I want it. Now when I dig the hole, anytime I plant a tree, always go deep to loosen the soil up underneath so the roots have someplace to go. And then you can amend your soil as you feel necessary, depending on what you got going on. And I also try and do the hole about 3 times the size of the pot. All right, so with that being said, let's take this out of the pot. Now keep in mind, this one here has been in this pot for it's been about a year and a half, 2 years maybe, I don't know. Didn't really label it. It's kind of just an experiment. And I put this originally, oh shoot, don't break it. It's heavier than I thought. I put this originally just in regular potting soil, and you can see it's not quite root bound yet, but it's got pretty good roots all around, so we're ready to rock. Let's get this down in the dirt. There, I like that a little better. Kind of level it off. And then we'll shovel the dirt back in. Yeah, that puts me about an inch below ground level. So I'll still have my watering reservoir there. And then just take the existing soil, put it back around it. Now in this particular tree, everything I've read says that you really don't want it to get too wet. So on this one, I am not going to I'm not going to put any kind of a mulch around it. I'm just going to let it essentially go back to what it was, back to grass. Though the grass does not grow very well in this particular area because it is somewhat dry. But that's also why I want a tree here. Is by adding the tree, what I'm doing is I'm adding shade. In some places, you really want to find sun. But here in Florida, sometimes it's more important to have shade. Like in a lot of places, my grass just will not grow because there's no shade. Whereas the areas that do have shade, the grass grows a lot better. All right, so that's how you go about planting an avocado in the ground. And then what I will do is let me show you how I go about putting one in a pot. I needed the pot, actually. So we'll do that here in a second. As you can see, I have my assistant helping me out. Mama Jim Bob is helping me. All right, so once you push on the sides like that, all right, and then you can kind of pull out on the big stem. There you go, right over the top. Watch where your top of the plant goes, though, because you're going to squish it.
Stop squishing.
Here. All right, flip it over and push down on some more on the sides. There you go. Now it should come out. And remember, it's going to be a little bit heavy.
It is heavy.
There. There we go. All right, so that one's just about root bound. Look at that. Yeah. Watch where you're taking the top. All right, so we want it about level on this one. So probably lift it up. Yeah, lift it up. Put a little bit more dirt in there. Now in this hole, we actually went ahead and put some compost in because as you can see, I don't know if you can zoom in on the dirt. You can see that sand is very white. It's almost all pure sand. But now supposedly that's something that avocados like. That should be enough. So we'll just have to see if it grows or how well it does right there. Yeah, there you go. That's about level. And then just fill it in. You want to use the shovel? Now the difference is going to be on this one. The other one, I'm not going to put any mulch around it because apparently avocados don't like the roots to be too wet. And if they get too wet, what can end up happening is the roots will rot out real bad, and it's not really good for the plant. So we're going to try and keep that one dry, but this one I'm going to go ahead and put the wood chips back over the top of the hole, and we'll see if it really makes a difference. Unfortunately though, there's quite a bit of difference in the dirt from here to there. The dirt over there is a lot darker, nicer dirt. So I don't know whether or not it's really a fair experiment, but we're going to try it anyway and just see what happens. And once again, you know, the worst I'm going to do is lose out on an avocado seed that we, you know, bought the avocado to eat, not for the seed. So now on this here, Mama, no, you're doing fine. Kind of push that dirt up along right in front of your knee pad, so we got kind of a berm. So when it rains, it'll kind of maintain that. You want the rake?
That's fine.
Yeah. But that way, because on this particular area here, what I had done originally is built a berm of dirt, a swale, so to speak, so the water running down would stop. But all of this, can you see over here, Bree? All of this down in here has been dug up by turtles. So I'm thinking I might have turtle eggs up in there. Don't really know. So kind of pull this dirt a little bit that way, like from the edge here. There you go, at an angle. There you go. Just kind of pull it back that way up into there. We're just trying to build like a berm. So basically like a hill of dirt back here. And then to kind of keep the dirt from washing out. I mean the water rather. So that when it rains real hard, hopefully what we'll have is this will maintain the dirt somewhat, or the water somewhat, from going down into the ditch and then down from there into the pond. All right, and we'll water that in real good. I'll put the compost back. Sure. All right. Hair's getting to be a pain in the butt, man. Yeah, that'll work for the most part. All right, when you water in a tree for the first time, I like to put about 5 gallons of water or so onto it. You know, get it good and soaked. Helps with the transplant shock, and also helps it to start growing, and hopefully the roots to start spreading out. Made it to it. So, like I said, we're just gonna keep that covered up with some wood chips, and we'll see whether or not that actually seems to help. Now, one of the things with avocados is they're another one that's supposed to really like to have acidic soil, acidic, well-draining soil. And in this particular area, I had put a bunch of cedar chips, some fine cedar chips, to hopefully improve the acidity of the soil for the blueberries. So, and that's pretty much it on that. All right, so once again, this is my avocado seed that we basically stuck in water, and it's growing a nice set of roots. It's got about, what was that, about 8 inches or so, maybe a foot of growth from the tree itself. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and plant this. Now I will tell you something that we basically hadn't really paid attention to. If you look at this avocado seed, you can see right here, this is where the original avocado was attached to the tree, and the roots were actually coming around and going down, and then this, the tree itself is forming from the bottom and then working its way back up. So we really should have planted or put this in the water upside down like that. Had we done that, it probably would have made things grow a little easier, but it really doesn't matter. I mean, obviously it still grew. Now, when I go to planting this, what I want to do is I want to plant this in such a way that basically it just barely covers the seed itself. So take your toothpicks out. I mean, you can leave them in, I suppose. I don't think it's going to hurt anything. And then dig you a little hole. And you want to make sure you got enough of a hole that the roots can set in there nice and easy, and then you can put dirt in around the roots. Alright, so like so, and then my goal is to get this pretty much level where the seed is just kind of like what you have in the water, where the top of the seed is still sticking out, but just barely, or it's just below the dirt. It's kind of my goal here. Now then, once you get it planted, you know, where do you put it? Now, what I did last year is I put these on the other side of my pool screen over there where it got partial sun pretty much all day, like filter sunlight. I'm going to leave it out here where I had the other ones growing because they seem to be doing fine, in a spot that's basically, it gets about half a day's worth of sunshine. And it also is in a spot where I can water it. I will pay attention more to it and water it. Now, some people tell you, I saw this online, to at this point go ahead and cut this, and then it'll actually branch out into at least 2 branches. It seems to me like I don't really want to do that, because I want these to grow up to the point where basically when I go to mow around them, I can mow around them without having to duck underneath the branches. So I want them to get about 4 to 5 feet tall really before they start doing too much branching. And I'll keep trimming them up in that way. I have a step ladder, so if I need to, you know, reach up for fruit, I would rather do that than have to duck every time I mow. So that's how you go about planting avocados. There's a lot of stuff online that makes it a lot more complicated. really isn't as hard as what you see. If you really want to grow avocados and that's your major concern, other than just planting a tree, then you're probably better off buying an avocado hybrid tree or a grafted tree. It will probably fruit quicker. Also, I'm not sure if the ones you buy require pollinators, so if you're going to buy one, check on that. Make sure it's either self-pollinating or you buy multiple trees. But you know, this is completely free other than the dirt it cost me. So, me personally, I don't see any really downside to this. I'll get some shade trees, which here in Florida is pretty critical, and hopefully get some fruit off them at some point in the future. So, once again, thanks for stopping by. Like, subscribe, let me know what you think. If you got ideas or comments, you know, please respond. Let me know. Thanks once again.